and I wanted to open up the scratch agency. There's incredibly high commissions at the time, and it was the worst time that I ever could have done this. It's a playbook, and I'm going to tell you what is the highest cost in your insurance agency.
Tell me.
So we were just talking about on the last podcast, we're talking about your agents. We can't afford to not hit these numbers.
Right.
That's what they were saying. And it just triggered in my brain. I'm like, dude, that's what we talk to a lot of agencies about. I tell the story about what was the cost of me not opening up the other scratch agency a few years ago when I did. Now, at that point, I had 3 kids and I was having another kid and I wanted to open up the scratch agency. There's incredibly high commissions at the time, and it was the worst time that I ever could have done this. Like, it was such a pain point between me and my wife, and we decided to do both at the same time. So it actually aligned by like 1 or 2 months. I think 1 a month apart between the opening of that agency and having my kid. And I was aggressive. I wanted to open with 15 sales agents. You can only start hiring maybe like almost 2 months early, but like really got aggressive the last month. But like it was like a ramp up.
I think it's so hard that time when you're like hiring for a place that you don't even have and have no cash flow.
Yeah, zero cash flow. So I had a bonus from that year that I got from the prior year of investing a lot, and it was basically all the X money, and that was like the beginning of it, right? I was going to invest all that in it, and more if I had to. So it was a very hard time to do it, but I did it and we got through it. And actually I had to make a deal that I would work less if I opened the scratch agency, but just give me 3 months of working a little bit more. So there's a lot of pressure. And I look at that point and I think I could have not have done that, right? And I could have saved that bonus money and everything. But the cost of not doing that would have been around.
It's in the millions, right?
Yeah, in the millions of dollars. So no joke, like the cost of not doing that would have cost me over $1 million for sure. Like we're talking way over. But
I mean, like honestly, I think that decision, I know for me, because it was 12, 13 years of doing okay, like having some bonuses some year, we maxed it one time, but never consistently month after month after month crushing, right?
Yeah.
And that opening that thing was life-changing. If I didn't open up that agency and do what we did back then, if I had said, you know what, I'm not sure, and then when COVID came, if I said I'm not sure, like it's a total, we're not having this conversation.
No.
There's no such thing as teledudes or any of that. I wouldn't have 4 sales producers doing 250 this month. Like it's insane, and it would have cost millions of dollars.
And now you have multiple properties that are generating income outside of one decision. So what is that principle then? It is really the cost of not. I don't know if for anybody listening, if you haven't heard of a book called or 10X is Easier Than 2X, and it's by Benjamin Hardy. It's really the science behind making a 2X move rather than a 10X move. And so really the principle of the cost of not doing something, if there's a great delta in that. A lot of the reasons why we don't take a 10X jump, the reason why we don't take an investment is because there's a lot of pain in it, right? There is pain in it. It's hard. It's hard for you. It's hard for me. Like there was a lot of times where it's like, holy crap, the wheels might fall off.
It just, even your friends and family will deter you. I'm probably going to be spending, $500,000 on leads this year. And they're like, what are you, freaking crazy? Why would you do that? Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did I'm like, okay, $50K a month, probably somewhere around there, right.
I know when I started my agency, the cost of me not figuring out sales and everything, I would be making 60 grand a year. I haven't made even close 10 times that in the last few years, right? The cost of not doing that was incredible, life-changing, right? So what's the cost of not? Everybody's so concerned. What's the cost? Everybody would, like, to your point with the leads and the expenses that it costs in your agency. Oh my gosh, that costs so much. Well, you know what? I know a lot of agents that have a small book that are putting very little to nothing into it, that are always complaining about their bills and stuff like that. The cost of not for them is life-changing.
Right.
In the opposite direction. You know what I mean? So what's a little bit of pain to get past into whatever you want? So I really hold tightly to the principle of the cost of not. Exactly what your agent said. We can't afford not to do this. Like, yeah, there's things like letting yourself down on a lifestyle that you want. You can't afford not to do that, because you're going to live an entire life beating yourself up. Oh, I could have done this. Like you beat yourself up all the time.
Today could be your last day.
Yeah.
Right? Every single person person involved in this conversation right now and everybody we know, today could be their last day. Like, I'm very glad that back then I decided to go all in and am now where we are over the last 4 years because of that decision, even though it was very painful at the time and very scary. I can't imagine the other side of it. Like, I would be in a lot of pain right now if I didn't do that. But it took some pain to do it too.
It does. It always does. It's not a linear growth. Like, as you as a business owner, if you want to be self-employed, then you're going to be taking 2x steps, and you can take gradual steps every year. If you really want to truly become like a business owner and business investor, like you're actually investing, like you need to make some decisions that are 2 steps back to go 5 steps forward.
Yeah.
It is never linear. There's no way any company has taken big leaps without taking steps back, without going in the red, without doing things that are easy. Like, easy steps are just little investments, right? But guess what happens?
Yeah.
Time's going by, right? Selling $1 million in an agency, is that a lot or a little? Some people say a lot. Some people say a little.
Right.
But what's the variable of the difference? Is the time. If you write that in 2 months, dude, you're a rock star. If you write that in 10 years, you suck, right? It's the same amount of pain. It might be over a longer period of time, and it definitely nets a different return.
I think I could safely say that the spouse of the one who takes 20 years to get to $1 million in premium versus the one who writes the $2 billion is going to be much happier. And then that means the agent is happier. It's it's not all smooth sailing, right? Like, no. I think those rough seasons are what make the good seasons even better.
I was just talking to Brian today about, if you plant a plant, right? And you have support for that plant, and it grows and its stock grows, right?
Yeah.
Compared to a plant that has wind and everything else. The 2 different plants, as they grow and they grow to their full extent, the one that has had the help, compared with the other tree that had all of the wind and everything against it. Yeah. That plant that didn't have the help is 10 times stronger than the one that had the help, because it was growing in wind. It had to build up the strength. The roots had to go deeper. It had to be planted stronger. But at the end of the day, you are going to have the strongest trunk and the strongest roots at the bottom of that.
You just got to link up with the right folks that'll support, you know?
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
But not like the stick, not that make you weak. Well, I look at the stick. The stick is like having a job. That's corporate. That's safety. Like, be safe, right?
It's the safety net, 100%. It's the safety net. It's not ever taking the risk. It's not risking the wind.
Right. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you're doing 2x or 1.5x or 1.25x, then it is like a job. That's what you do in the corporate world, right? You claw and scratch and stay safe and move up, in incremental pieces. And that's not the point of owning a business. If you have the business, you are able to position yourself to have that 10x. And I used to think it was crazy. Like, oh yeah, it's sales. But then you see it, then you do it, and all of a sudden, it's like, holy crap, now I want 20x, right?
Right. We had a rough year last year. Last year was very difficult for me because we couldn't sell in California in our agency, and it really sucked.
Yeah.
It really did, especially after, knowing what I know now. And so last year was a very 2x year for me, but it put a lot of things in perspective, and knowing what I know now and knowing what I've been through and stuff has really helped me cast a vision for the future that I'm excited about. And it's time to do some more of those 10x moves this year. So let's do it. 2024.
10x or more. That was a pretty good poem. That's an Insurance Dude's poem original.
Yes.
And you may reproduce it as you head on over to Internet Lead Secrets at the main site. Just go over to theidudes.com. Or click the link down below.
Link down below, subscribe. Just join us on this journey. Let's 10x together. Let's not 2x. If you're in a season of 2x, sometimes we have to do it. But, let's 10x the season.
Give us a holler.
10x a coffee talk.
Coffee talk.